there was actually a paper that was written back in the 1800s that talked about the size of black and brown men's penises and how it was vastly superior to white men. It was a eugenics.
That's why they want to kill us off.
Yeah.
I got 0 friends.
You just entered the girls' locker room. You already know it's your girl Talita Mokia in here hanging with my ladies. And today we got a very interesting topic for you. It's about medicine, medication, medical coverage, healthcare, East versus West, or maybe we should say the US versus everybody else. Let's
Hello.
do it like that. So before we started recording, we was talking about reel that's on Instagram talking about why mostly everywhere else have universal health care except for the United States. And when you do a little bit of digging, we always say you guys do your own research. When you go do a little bit of digging, it took me down a rabbit hole today. And it boils down to racism, to where if it was universal health care, everybody has to have health care. Before Medicare and Medicaid was put into place, it was research was done by the US government, basically figuring out what could they do to kill off the black people. This was still during segregation. This is nothing new. This is years 30s, 40s, 50s.
The entirety of the United States.
Yeah, but this is when the study was done, and they were saying that if there was no health care and black people didn't go to have doctors or have health care, that we would die out in 4 generations. So clearly that ain't gonna work now, because we like roaches. We done multiplied, okay? we at every corner. If it ain't black, it's
So to add to that, I did not see that on Instagram on the stories. However, to add to that, there was actually a paper that was written back in the 1800s that talked about the size of black and brown men's penises and how it was vastly superior to white men. It was a eugenics.
That's why they want to kill us off.
Yeah.
Hell no. But go on, I'm listening.
And the Nazis. So eugenics really came about like in the 1800s. And, there was this like a whole movement to, keep people segregated. Nobody wanted interracial marriages or anything like that, which of course, like we as Americans, we've felt that like literally since the founding of our country. Like, sadly, it's been ingrained that, we have to have this segregation because it's not keeping poor, but it's keeping rich people on a higher pedestal by us, like other poor people finding each other. So what the government did, or the rich people did, is, created these animosities between the lower socioeconomical people, whether it be Irish, Italians, Black people, Native Americans, Hispanics, so on and so forth. And it just plays into that. But there was a paper that was literally written, and it was literally, or sorry, I keep literally, my bad, edit that. It was, it was written about people's dick size, and it talked about how like brown men, like Native American men, Hispanic men, Black men had noticeably bigger penises than English men, which English men were supposed to be dominant, like rulers of the world, playing into that whole like, colonization and whatnot. And yeah, like it just created more animosity among lower classes, like
of course they
and brown people.
They dominance by some of their dicks. You know how they do.
Like
it's about masculinity, and for some reason men of every race feel their dick size determine them. Now, I won't say all men, but a great deal of men feel that way, and so I can see where the intimidation came from. I read an article on how slave owners would rape the slave men in front.
It was called breaking them,
or bucking or some shit like that. But just another way to make them feel low, because they felt low about their business.
Yeah, like dominance or something like that.
Yes. And they did it in front of the women to show them, he ain't shit, whatever,
Mhm.
whatever.
It was a breaking of a mindset for everyone. It broke
Mm,
the male physically, emotionally, and mentally, and then it traumatized the women um
that's all.
emotionally and mentally as well, because think about it, this is the person that you look at as your protector. Anytime, most of the time, the men that were enslaved were always jumping to say that they did something that one of the women enslaved, one of the women that were enslaved did to protect them. So this is your protector and this is what's happening to them. So it's like, oh my God, what's gonna happen to me? What's gonna happen to my child? So I totally get it. I know so I'm a little bit of a nerd, as we know. So I love Alexander the Great, right? I love him. His war strategy. I just love him. I love his story. I love everything about him.
Mhm.
Well, here it is, this war hero. He was like up here when it came to war, like his war strategies. America still uses some of his strategies that he implemented. He slept with men. And when you research it, he slept with men because it was a belief that when he slept with the man, he absorbed their power, he absorbed their energy. So it made him more and more dominant.
Mm.
And that's why he did it. So I guess it can go either way. Tell America we want universal health care. Everybody else got it. Every other country that has that's a great country similar to America has free healthcare. Like
For
across
sure.
the border in Canada, they got free healthcare. Okay. Now they taxes is higher, but hell, we tax our ass anyway here. So
Inflation.
I mean, I went to Cuba for healthcare.
I
I
would too.
paid,
Like
I
just
paid $120 for an ovarian cyst removal. And in the US, it cost me like 6 grand, like after my insurance covered everything.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
well, medical tourism, that's a whole different episode, but
So
And see, that's why it's important that we, you know, do our research
mhm,
and find out the information we need so we can make, the proper moves to try to protect ourselves.
yeah.
We have to be less focused on, celebrities and their lives and really look out for us. Right now, I don't know what's going on. You know, every other day you're reading articles about possible war. They were talking about, the US might go into a Cold War with, I think it was Japan or North Korea.
I don't know.
Uh, Either way,
We
it
don't want
doesn't
no smoke with North
matter.
Korea.
I'm sorry.
We don't want no smoke with North Korea.
Nah, if it's China though, we're screwed because
South
that's
Korea
No,
don't want no
no,
smoke with
where
North
I
Korea.
come
You
from.
know we
already.
don't want no smoke with them.
But
We're
Japan,
gonna go
we
on
have
and
a
stay
military
to the
base in
side
Japan.
on that one. But we really have to really understand what's going on. We
Yeah.
have to understand because right now, shit, we're at war with each other. And it sucks that the war that we are at with each other is some shit that's been fought years and years and years ago.
Mhm.
And it's still the same shit. It's not going to change. No one's going anywhere. We're all here to stay. We need to let it go. We need to figure out what we're going to do to protect ourselves and our country if some shit does happen. So,
I feel like when it comes to that, it has a lot to do with unconscious biases,
yeah.
the way we are raised.
Mhm.
We're gonna have to get into that on a whole nother topic.
I know we've
We're
gone
gonna have
off.
to circle back to that because I just went down a loophole just now, y'all. And
You've
my
been
favorite
going down a lot of holes today, sis. What's going
I
on?
know I'm like a bunny today. I'm just digging holes.
Mhm.
It's the full moon,
We're
man.
gonna get back, and
It's
y'all
the
know how
new
I feel about these
moon.
moon changes. They just do something to me. We're gonna
Mm.
get back to the medical side of things because
Yes, of
like
course.
when M was talking about her cyst removal and how much it would cost here and how much it would cost compared to somewhere else. I have MS and I remember when I was first diagnosed with MS, we were like, I have a really, really close friend that has MS. Yeah, it's she's not doing really, really good with it. But I remember when I was first diagnosed, and we were researching like where could we go and other options, medical health options or whatever. You have countries that are curing MS. You have countries that are curing MS. They have well, they used to, prior to COVID, they had a retreat. It was like a hospital retreat that the physicians in Costa Rica, where the physicians were actually curing MS. Like you had people who were paralyzed going there, having this surgery done, recouping for 12 weeks there, and coming home walking, talking regular themselves. Say it was going on in Germany too. Germany was having they had their stuff done. And I'm like, America has never had a trial to cure MS. There's never even been a trial period for us to have any kind of thing to cure MS. And to think about it, in Costa Rica, it was $25,000.
You can
$25,000 and you're coming back walking.
you can get your insurance to cover that though. So you can call your insurance provider. I know a lady who did this. She got double hip replacement surgery. She had Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. She called her insurance and the doctor that taught the doctors here locally was based in India. And she called her insurance and it was called international insurance, basically, is like ask them what they cover internationally. And because the cost of care in India was so much cheaper,
it was like, go.
Yeah, she was able to get a double hip replacement and 6 months rehab, and it was paid by her insurance.
Nice.
All she had to do was fly there and fly back.
Yeah.
Nice. Rehab was covered 100% and the hip replacement. But all she had to do was like call Blue Cross Blue Shield and just be like, hey, I want this surgery. Here's the CPT codes, but I'm getting this done in India. And she researched it. She found the doctors locally had been trained by this doctor in like Bombay, and she was able to track down this doctor in this hospital. She got all of her appointments set up. She got all of her records transferred over. All she had to do was buy a plane ticket.
Nice.
Got to spend like 6 months recuperating in a beautiful spot in India.
But that's where it's crazy. Like, why do we have to
go out the country?
Like everybody's like, oh, America, the land of opportunity, the land of this, the land of that. And I'm like, here we are. We're citizens. We work here our whole life. I've been working in the US since I was 14 years old. And you mean to tell me that I'm diagnosed with the illness that, yeah, granted, years ago, people are still dying from MS, but you had people like rapidly dying from MS. But now you tell me that I have to do a monthly infusion or a twice a year infusion. But if I had any kind of family history of cancer, I don't qualify for that. So it's like, what?
What?
But you want me to pay to get a shot that costs $1,900, $2,000 per shot, and I take it every week. Huh?
See, and that's why people leave this country and risk going to other countries, not really knowing their history, because a lot of people don't do the research about the doctors, about the establishments. They go and they get dangerous surgeries and are dying.
Or they get them done and don't have the money to stay there and heal properly. So they're
exactly
so back is what's really making them sick. Like it's ridiculous. Like I have a ton of health issues, and so I also have high blood pressure. And here recently, like in the past year or so, I started taking magnesium. Right. And I started taking magnesium because of muscle cramps and body aches and stuff like that. And I've noticed that I take the high potency magnesium because my muscle cramps were really, really bad. I've always had really, really bad muscle cramps since I used to run track. So my leg cramps are horrid. So I started taking magnesium. So I was diagnosed with high blood pressure when I was 22 years old. And automatically they put me on blood pressure pills. They didn't check for anything, nothing. I was diagnosed, I was preeclamptic, and it just never went down from them. So you're a new mother, you don't know no better. You just like, I gotta do what I gotta do so I could be here for my kids. At the time I was a single mom. So I was just like, I'm just gonna take these pills, it's gonna be whatever. So as the older I get, the more medication I'm on, of course, because now I have high blood pressure, I have diabetes, I have MS, I have all of this lovely stuff going on in my life. And so I started taking the magnesium. I started taking the high potency magnesium. Well, ever since I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, I always have a high heart rate. My heart rate is always 110 or above. Always. And it's been that way since I was 22 years old. And that's, it's not good because it can make the walls of your heart thicken and things like that. So I wear my Apple Watch. A lot of people are transitioning back to their regular watches. I keep my Apple Watch on because I have to keep an eye on my heart rate. So we've noticed here lately in the past couple of months, I was taking regular magnesium. I just switched over to the high potency because it was on buy one, get two free. And I was like, okay, Kroger's, let me get two free. So I noticed when I started taking the high potency magnesium once a day, my heart rate is normal. My blood pressure, it's normal. Well, it's not normal, it's damn near low because I'm taking the magnesium and the blood pressure medication. And I'm like, so why nobody? And then I had to think about it. I'm like, okay, when my blood pressure go high and I had to go to the hospital, this was years ago when I would be stressed out or whatever. What do they give you? A magnesium drip. So why are you giving me this blood pressure medicine instead of telling me take magnesium?
That's the Eastern medicine, yo. That's Eastern
Exactly. And
And
like
they gotta
I'm
make money.
right,
And they gotta make money.
right, they're making money. It's like pharmaceuticals is a big business. Like if you look
Exactly.
under my eyes, I have really dark circles. That's a sign of insulin resistance. It used to be like black like my hair. That's how dark it used to be. So of course, you know me, I'm just researching everything now because I'm like, look, I'm not gonna be taking all these medications the rest of my life. We're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So I started drinking a tea that has ginger, turmeric, black pepper, and cinnamon in it. And my blood sugar start coming down. My under eyes is starting to lighten, which means that my insulin resistance is getting better. And I'm like, why you just ain't tell me eat turmeric rice every day, people? Why you didn't tell me to season my food? But you think about it, like
That was a pillow for you.
It's
in
the
Eastern,
American Industrial Healthcare Complex.
because in Eastern countries, they use cardamom, they use turmeric, they use hot, spicy peppers.
Oh, and I love me some pepper.
Well, and not even to go into like Eastern medicine, but like Norway. So there was actually a medical study about type 2 diabetes, which a lot of type 2 diabetes is, diet based, like,
Mm-hmm.
our diets and, lack of exercise, so on and so forth. So what they did was they took like middle age, like late middle age, early, like older age, 40, 50, 60-year olds, and they put them on soup based diets. And they had elevated A1Cs. They were considered type 2 diabetics. They put them on these soup-based diets. Well, after 6 weeks, their A1Cs had reduced. They were out of pre-diabetic range. Like they fixed themselves. They had healed themselves of type 2 diabetes by changing their diet, switching over, yes, to a soup-based diet, but it helped drastically reduce their A1C to where they could slowly move into a more healthy food-based diet. I mean, of course, you had to cut out soda and the sweets and, carbohydrates and stuff like that. But I mean, it was an adjustment and it worked. They didn't have to take the metformin. They didn't have to go back on insulin, things like that.
People know that anybody who knows me know I would die on that hill. I'm not taking insulin. Like I have fought with plenty of physicians when they're like, oh, the best thing for us to do for you. My A1C was like 10.5 one time. And they was like, well, we're just gonna put you on insulin. I was like hell, you gonna put me on insulin? Y'all got me fucked up.
Yeah.
I would die on that hill. The only time I've ever taken insulin was during my last pregnancy. And I think for me it was because as being, when you as a mom, we're gonna do whatever we gotta do for our kids. And that was and as soon as she came out, like not even as soon as she came out, like a couple of days before, I was like, we're getting ready to deliver, right? I don't need to take this insulin, right? Everything trash it. We're not doing this afterwards, like when it's just me, I feel like I can do more things to get that rectified and get it better. Like if I gotta get up and walk, like I went a whole year without eating lunch at work, and all I did was go outside and walk. I had 30-minute break. What's the point of me trying to hustle and bustle to get something to eat? I might as well just walk for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I drastically, and that was when I started that, when it was like, we're going to put you on insulin, your A1C is too high. And then I did that. And then like 6 months later, my A1C was like 6.5. And they was like, well, what did you do? And I was like, I just been tracking everything I put in my mouth and walking. That's it.
And that's the thing. most of the diseases that are out are curable.
Mhm.
But you can't make money if you tell people that.
This is a fact.
And so you have to not let them know about the tea with the, turmeric. And what did you say is in that tea for those who might have missed it?
Yes, please.
Turmeric, black pepper, ginger, and cinnamon. And I mix it all up. They're all equal parts except for the pepper. The pepper is reduced by a little more than half. So if I do like a tablespoon, I do like a quarter tablespoon of black pepper. And I mix it all up. I put it in a little jar, and then I take 1/4 teaspoon and put it in the bottom of the cup. Some hot water on top of it, and I drink that before I eat anything in the morning. And then at night before I go to bed, I put a little bit of honey in it, because now at this point I've already consumed some crap, so I might as well drink something a little sweeter. Now it's gonna set your chest on fire. I'm just letting you know right now. It's gonna burn your chest. Put a little hair on it.
I think it's like a probiotic, and it will like help with
It
my
does, because
my intestinal
a
phenomenon.
little TMI is gonna make your stomach do some weird things. Like, oh.
Mm. But that's the point. There's ways of curing a lot of, what people have.
Yeah.
And it's not a bash on pharmaceutical companies, but people deserve to live.
Right.
At the end of the day, people deserve to live, no matter what their status is in life. No one should be told, well, because you can't afford this $10,000 medication every 30 days, we don't know what to tell you. You you can't live. Pretty
Right.
much that's what it
That's
is.
pretty much what they say to people.
And it's fucked up because you work your whole life. Most people that have lived, and had to work and can't even afford to take care of themselves, it's wrong.
There's
Period.
no way we worked our whole life, paid into a system, and we can't afford to go to the doctor on Medicare. That is
They do it on
insane.
purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They fucking do it on purpose. I'm sorry, like they really do. Like, I guess like looking at like black lung survivors, like the coal mines and stuff like that, like they want to work you so much that you don't reach the age where you would be able to pull these benefits.
There you go.
You do reach that age, they want to fuck you over and say, oh no, well, let's put this back a little bit further. Or, oh no, let me add this extra like 30% copay to this. So you have to keep paying more out of pocket, even though, I'm a black lung survivor. Or, yeah, I mean,
When I was diagnosed with MS,
You're
I never
right.
forget, when I was diagnosed with MS, my mom, it was really, really bad. It was really bad. My mom was like, maybe you should try to get disability. You've worked a long time, you've paid into the system, you probably can get something decent. You got kids, you'll probably get something decent where y'all can live half decent. So I was like, okay. And my friend who also has it was like, here, go to my lawyer, because he helped me get it the first time around. And he doesn't charge much. You pay a little fee up front. He doesn't take it on the back. And I was like, okay, cool. So I go to him, and let me tell you what he tells me. He says, oh, you're not going to get it on the first round. I said, huh? This is the lawyer. He said, I'm telling you, you're not going to get it on the first round. He said, you're not going to get it on the first round because you're still in your 20s. And in their mind, they're going to be paying you for a long time. So they're going to drag it out at least 3 or 4 rounds before you get it, hoping that you don't have enough money to be out of work for 6 years.
damn.
The lawyer straight up told me that. He said, I'll give you the paper. I'll give you, because he had like a pre-made packet made up on how to answer the question so that you can get it first round. He said, I'll give it to you. He was like, I'm not gonna even charge you. I'll give it to you. He said, because by the time you get to round 3 is when you can come back to me and I'll step in. He said, because I'm telling you right now, they're not gonna do it. I was denied within 6 months. I was blind and I was denied within 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
He straight up said it. He said, because you are too young, they're not going to want to pay. He said, if it's not cancer or something, he's like, they're not going to want to pay you.
Because you're going to live a long time versus like a cancer patient that might be dead next year.
Yeah.
And they don't have to pay it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
fuckers.
I said, okay. And I started to make an exit strategy on to change how I lived my life. Like, They predict that I would not be walking by the age of 30. I'll be 40 in January, and I still walk, run, jump, you know? So you have to be willing to do that lifestyle change. I feel like me and my husband was talking about it a couple of weeks ago. Like if I would have stayed in New York, everything they predicted probably would have came true. But we left New York. We went south. Being south allowed us to live a slower paced life, not as stressful. You don't have to work 18, 20 hours a day just to survive.
Or have
But
18 people living with you just
and
so
you can survive on a one income household if you need to. And that has allowed for me to be able to, okay, I'm not feeling good. I need to not work for 6 or 7 months. And my husband's like, okay, fine, we're good. We'll be all right. You know, it allows for that. So I tell people you got to be willing to do the work when it comes to your own health, because these people don't care about you. These are people. Do your research. You know what's wrong with you. If you got high blood pressure, try some magnesium. Don't try high potency like me at first, because I just wowed out. But it
But
it
you know what's funny? They talk about, when Black people or, brown people, when they go to the doctor, the treatment they receive is way different than when a Caucasian or someone goes into the, hospital. And that's another reason why you want to do your own research and just see what you can find out. And then when you're talking to them, instead of them just telling you anything, well, according to what I've read and according to what I found out, A, B, C, and D, then they're either going to brush you off, or they're going to realize, okay, let me see what I can do, blah, blah, blah. But we have to do our own.
you also
Or,
have to be very diligent. And when you're talking about like the difference, the healthcare transparencies or the differences in healthcare, you have to be very due diligent in that as well, and finding a provider who is used to dealing with Black and brown, who used to treating Black and brown people, because they're more acceptable to what we're going to say, or they know like Thanksgiving is coming, you finna eat a whole pot of collard greens. Don't do that, because you're gonna put some hog mugs in there and you're gonna put hot sauce on it and you're doing too much. They know that that's gonna happen.
no, you're not. No, you're not.
I mean, how many
I
times have you
am,
gone to the
but
doctor and been accused of drug seeking?
yeah,
What
see,
happened?
that's something that doesn't
Wait,
happen.
whoa, what
Like, that
happened?
happens to me all the time. I can't go to the doctor. Like anytime I go to the doctor, I went to the doctor for an ovarian cyst rupture. I had to go to the ER. The
Mm-hmm.
doctor walked in and looked at me and was just like, "Why are you here?" And I was like, "It feels like there's lava running through this like right lower quadrant." And he's just like, "Oh, well, are you pregnant?" It's like, "No, sir, I'm on my maneuvering and I had my period last week." And he's just like, and like literally like kept throwing me under the bus, like, "Oh, well, it might be your appendix. What have you been eating? Like, are you doing drugs?" And it's just like, "I'm sober." And
You
then
see?
and he apologized, but still, like
People think that it's only Black people who go through it. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It usually with us though, it's about pain. Usually
yes.
that's when they don't listen
Yes.
to us, because it's
Mm-hmm.
this thing that's beating their head, and we kind of getting there again. It's beating their head that African Americans, like our pain, like we
Don't
don't feel
feel
pain like
pain.
everybody else. And no,
Mm-hmm.
I might be one of those people who don't feel pain like everybody else. But you can't put that generally across the board for everybody. Like they act like you don't know what's going on. Especially we're all women here. This is the girls' locker room. I'm pretty sure plenty of people are gonna listen to this across the cultures. Um, if you're an African American woman and you're getting ready to give birth, please do your research. Please do your research. For a long time, we was trending down in our maternal deaths during delivery or after delivery, and within the last 2 years, we are again trending upward. A lot of health
I
insurance
am.
companies are changing their rules to allow to pay for doulas, to pay for midwives and things like that. Please, please, please do your due diligence and look into that. I almost lost my life in birth twice out of the 6 kids that I've had. Almost lost a baby during delivery. Because if I did not advocate, I would not have my fifth daughter. She came out, her placenta died at 36 weeks. She was born at 37 weeks. She lived in a dead placenta for 6 days. Yeah, 6 days. And they were like, "Oh, we're not gonna deliver her. She's fine." I was like, "No, I was literally at the delivery room at the late L&D door arguing with the on-call doctor, like, "No, maternal fetal sent me up here, and you're gonna induce now because I'm not leaving here without a baby." And they put me in the room. And I was contracting slightly. They said, "Oh, we're gonna give you some Pitocin." And they left me in the room. They came back and they checked me 2 hours later. I was fully dilated and ready to push. I was laying on that bell. They just put me in there, ignored me. Like, okay, you're doing too much. So yes, please, 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 please. Always, always, always do your due diligence. Make sure you're looking into stuff. If the US medication ain't doing it for you, look at how everybody else is treating it. Because we know the US is big money pharmaceuticals, okay?
Medical tourism is another episode.
And we will get into that on another episode. We probably will have to do a rant episode at some point because these is going to be a little bit of ranting going on. So definitely here in the girls' locker room, we care about you guys. We care about what's going on out there in the world. Make sure you're doing your due diligence. Find somebody who is accustomed to dealing with your demographic, regardless of if it's Black, brown, Pravish, minority, Caucasian. I don't care if you want to say I'm from the trailer park and you need to work with trailer park people. Do what you got to do to make sure that you're good. And as always, take care of you. Like, comment, subscribe. We will see you in the next one.
Bye.
I got 0 friends.